Welcome back to Whips and Wagons. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Today's video is really exciting because it's the start of the modifications on the channel. And today we're going to be kicking off with some interior modifications with the aim of turning my interior into a complete one-of-one for an E90. And the first thing we'll look to do is upgrade the steering wheel trim. So I've got this gorgeous black Alcantara steering wheel trim, an OEM part from BMW. We've got these beautiful billet aluminium paddle shifters from MMR. Really excited to get these fitted and replacing the little OEM ones. They're in sort of gunmetal grey, which I think will be really nice, matching the outside of the car. And then the other modification we've got to do is one I think that's never been done before, which is a mod for the gear selector. And the idea behind this is to make it feel almost like a kind of sequential gearbox with the XHP Stage 3 tune I've got on there. So this is part one. There's gonna be multiple parts, and yeah, we'll get things going. I'll join you back in the car. This is a little roundup of where we're currently at with the interior. So we're not starting from completely stock. As you can see, I do have a suede steering wheel cover, although I've had that on for about 18 months now, and it is starting to look a little bit shabby. So I am waiting for a better quality one, proper Alcantara. So we're doing an ultimate guide on how to fit that at some point. And you can see we've also got the Alcantara shifter and handbrake boots installed already, and just a red start-stop button. But we're gonna be doing a lot more than that over the next few videos. So we're going to fit initially the Alcantara steering wheel trim insert and the MMR shifters. We can get this all done in one go pretty easily. All we need to do is remove the airbag. We need to remove this trim. There's two Torx bits, two here and one here. And then we just need to remove the bolts for the shifters. Take apart the mechanism. There's a little pin that we need to save to put into this little slot here. It all attaches onto the stock mechanism. It's super easy, and it's going to look great. It's going to feel amazing when we're driving it. So let's go. So the first thing we're just going to do is to remove the airbag. This can be a little bit fiddly. There are basically two ports on the back of here. This little port here, and also this little port here. Now the best way to do it is to just get a flathead screwdriver into that gap. And there's just a spring that we need to feel out. You're best off having the screwdriver go in sort of flat, and you just want to feel for a sort of, oh, straight onto it there, straight away. So that's the angle. Just take a note of that if you're going to do this yourself. This is at 8 o'clock, I would say, and just push straight in and it'll release this. We'll just get the other side nice and quickly, hopefully. So again, this is about 4 o'clock. We're on the spring there, I'm pretty sure, and it's straight out. So that's good. I've obviously done this before. The first time you do it, it may take you a little while, but once you get it, you'll feel it. There's a nice easy way that you can move this out of the way just so you can leave it perched there while you work. So the way I just do this, fold this down and post it through there, and then you've got access to everything we need to do here. Cool, and so now this is out of the way, we just need to remove this trim. I believe it's a T20 on the back of these. So again, there's just little ports here and here. I'll show you on the GoPro. So we'll just get those out now. And you can just flip this over, and there's these two T20s to release the buttons. Then we just need to pull this wiring loom out, and then we can basically switch this over. And then we can just route these guys out of here. So this all stays as one piece. And then this has got a little helpful guide that came out. And there we go. That's the steering wheel trim out. And we can go ahead and replace it with this. But what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do these shifters while this is out and we've got a bit more space. It's just these two T25s to get the actual shifter mechanism out. So we'll just release those right now. That's one bolt. And that's another bolt out. Cool, so we can have a look at the OEM shifter mechanism here. So you can see there's just this bolt holding the rest of the assembly in, and it's just that clicking mechanism we just need to replicate with the new shifters. So again, this is a T20, this one. So this comes away. The thing we need to get out and save is this pin. That's the pivot point that the shifter clicks on. Keep the mechanism that way up because there's a spring and a little plastic plate in here. And if you open it this way up, then you have to reposition it, it's just there. Okay, so this is the smallest Allen key I've got. So you can pop this pin out. It'll only come out this direction. And you'll see it come out the top. There it is. So that's the pin we need. See, it's got the small end and the large end to hold it in place. Just put that to the side. And then again, this is where you need to lift off carefully. So just lift off like this. Okay, there we go. I think we're free now. There you go. So you can see this is the spring which you don't want to move, and this is the little plastic plate, which is like the clicker to push the buttons. So just hold that like that, and it's just straight replacement. So you just pop it straight in, line up that with the holes, and you're in. And you can see we just need to line up that hole. We can see the clicker works. That's great. And this pin just goes in the same way it came out. Okay, so we've got our pin, and this will just slot straight through. You can see that's the small side, and that will just slot straight in there as it comes. It's held in just naturally like that. That's the left-hand shifter done, and then it's just a case of putting it all back together again. And you just need that front plate to put this back in, which we've just got hanging here, and that's how the whole assembly sits, and this is what clips back to the shifter. So we just put our bolt back in here, just need our Torx, and we'll just nip that back together. Look at that. So we can basically slot this back in onto the car, onto the wheel now. That's one side of the shifter. Look at that, that looks awesome. I'll just do the other side, and that'll be that, and then we can put the steering wheel back together with the new trim. And there we go, the shifters are in. How awesome do they look? They're gonna be so much nicer to drive with as well. I've got much more reach all around the steering wheel where I can still shift. That just feels so good. Right, now we can get the Alcantara trim back in. So again, this is the same process, just in reverse. So line these up, and then we can just flip this over and put the bolts back in. So I've already lined the bolts up with their little housings. So I think because this is just a straight, what we did in reverse, I'll just time lapse this, get this all back in, get these bolts nipped up, and we'll put the airbag back in, and that'll be done. So the trim is in and looking pretty mega, I have to say, although it is showing up how worn the wheel cover is. So we'll be looking forward to getting that changed and freshening that all up, so that looks really, really smart. And now all it's left to do is to pop the airbag back in. So just slide it back through here from where you put it, and then it's literally just push to fit. So there's only one way it can go in. Don't be scared of it, just look at that, and we're in. Oh, that looks awesome. I'm absolutely stoked with that. Alcantara feels lovely, shifters feel lovely. That looks really, really good. Now we can move on to the shifter upgrade. That is, I think, is really going to take this thing to the next level. So just to talk you through the parts here, I will leave links to this in the description if anyone wants to give this a go. But essentially, this is just a standard gear knob. They come with these little plastic inserts depending on what size you're trying to slot the rod into. The insert screws into here, although what I did first was screw it onto here first to get it as low as I could. Then screwing this all the way in. This is also a two-part piece. This is a part in its own right. So again, I'll leave links to the description of this. You can get different lengths of these depending on how long you want the shifter to be. I want it quite high, so this shifter's sort of here in my hand. And then this bottom piece is like a gear shifter adapter. And this comes just as this standalone little bottom piece, which is threaded at the top about that far. And you get these little grub screws in there as well to basically hold it on to the knob that comes out of here. Only thing to note is that the diameter of this, the internal diameter of this, was actually a little bit snug to get on here. So I used a little burr attachment on my drill and just sort of filed it down. It didn't take very long, just a little run around the inside, got this to fit out. Quite excited about it, so let's see what happens. So the first stage is obviously to remove the stock shifter knob. Now, there's not really a specific technique for doing this. You just have to pull up on this as hard as you can and try and not smash your rear view mirror when you do it, because your hand's gonna come up quite fast. If you've not done it before, it does require a fair bit of force, so let's just give it a go. Okay, we're in a slightly different position now here, so I'm sat on top of the center console. This might just give us a little bit more leverage to pull this off. There we go. And I hit my wing mirror, but I think that'll be okay. So the shifter's off. As you can see, it's kind of tacky looking. When you actually look at it on its own, it's not the best. And this is what we're left with, and this is what a little shifter attachment is going to slot onto. So it will sit like that, but what we'll do is we'll get everything assembled and we'll knock this on really nicely, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, we'll get this into place, tighten it all up and see what it looks like. Cool, so that's on there pretty well, and that's looking pretty wild, and it's in a great position for my hand when I'm driving. So in sport mode, the idea is that this is going to feel like a sequential gearbox. I've got the XHP Stage 3 gearbox tune, which already has brought this car alive completely. I always wanted a manual, so this is kind of as close as I can get with the auto gearbox. And I think it looks pretty badass as well. It's going to be personal preference. Some people are going to hate it. I think it's pretty cool. And then we've got a little bit more tightening on this to do, so I'm going to do these grub screws up. This is in there quite nicely now. And yeah, that should be it. And then we can try and just neaten this up, get the boot over, and yeah, done deal. So there it is, my finished interior. Well, part one is finished. That's the shifter. I think that feels pretty great. That's exactly the sort of position I wanted it. Still access it with my arm resting on the armrest. Yeah, I think that looks pretty mega. I mean, let me know what you guys think, but I think that looks pretty awesome. And yeah, all that's left to do is take this for a test drive and see how these upgrades actually feel out on the road. It's been a bit of a shifter party here. We've got paddle shifters upgraded and a sequential gearbox style now as well. But yeah, maybe if you want to give it a go, hope this helps you. So here we go, first test of the interior upgrades. I'm excited about this. So here we go, the first clunk into a different gear. Well, I mean, that's quite satisfying. It's a perfect position. I'm really happy with the length of how that's worked out. Oh yeah, that feels great. Yeah, we like the look of that a lot. It's probably gonna be a love or hate thing, but in terms of feel, I think I'm already sold on that. Click it down into first. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, we're so into that. So into that. I would highly recommend this. Okay, so the car is all warmed up now, so we can give this a proper test. So let's see what it's like. Oh, that feels great. Oh, it's like sequential gearbox. Downshift again. Yeah, we're happy with that. That's a really nice mod. I think it feels pretty natural having that there. So I can rest my hand on that pretty nicely with my arm sat on the armrest. It feels about as close as you can get to driving a manual, I think. Just down the gears with a few clicks. And she pulls. And obviously it's not just the gear shifter we modified, it's the paddle shifters too. So we can see how these go as well. Oh yeah, that feels really nice as well. That's super satisfying. I can reach them now just with my middle fingers. That's a big upgrade as well. That feels much more intuitive than it did with the little ones. They were always a bit of a reach at the stock paddle shifters. These are much more reachable. I've got many more options where I put my hands. Nice bit of road round here. You can see what this is really like with the paddle shifters. Car is so good on these roads as well. It's what it was made to do. We can go down through the gears again. And that just about brings us to the end of part one of the interior mod series. Part two is coming very soon. It's going to be a big episode, so please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.